We talk about it in the Origins cassette, but just to be sure, Zéphirin Dorval donated the statue of Our Lady of the Cape in 1854.
There's nothing in the archive about the donor or his motivation, but the statue was placed on the altar of the Rosary in the parish church that became the small shrine. It replaced an old silver statue that vanished without a trace.
Well, another case of something disappearing from the shrine. Grandma, in case we disappear, please remember that we love you.
The archives don't record where this statue came from, but it was likely carved on the model of the Immaculate depicted on the 1832 miraculous medal.
I thought about that the other day. We could use the first mold to make the other statues.
Well, no. The company Catelli and Carli changed its name twice, and it closed its doors in 1965, which means the mold is gone forever.
So, that disappeared as well.
But not the statue. We don't know much about it because it wasn't signed, or else the signature was concealed during restoration.
Wasn't Olivier Chaput the sculptor?
It's more complicated than that. He restored it in 1904 and again in 1920 in anticipation of its coronation, and then again in 1947.
The statue was located on the side altar, known as the Chapel of the Rosary, until June 22nd, 1888.
It was placed above the high altar on that date. This is a statue that opened its eyes the same night in front of 3 witnesses.
In December 1892, the first issue of the Annals of the Shrine described the statue as being miraculous.
On August 28, 1896, an anonymous writer...
There's really something about mysteries at the shrine.
An anonymous writer wrote in the journal, "This Madonna isn't beautiful. It doesn't express the dream of an artist, and yet it attracts and fascinates. We want to keep looking at it. We stay there, at its feet, captivated by its mysterious charm. Here at the feet of the humble Madonna, we pray lovingly. And during the whole time we pray, we feel strength and consolation coming over us."
I can understand why he wanted to remain anonymous since he thought it was ugly.
Have you noticed the canopy above the statue? It was added in 1903, and the statue would be crowned twice. At first in 1904, and then again in 1954.
And a golden heart was hung around its neck on both occasions.
Here's an interesting anecdote. The 1954 crown and heart was stolen on the 9th of August 14th and 15th, 1975.
And that's why they put the 1904 crown and heart back on Mary's head.
The crown was donated in June 1888 by Irish members of the Franciscan laity who were from Montreal. But it was stolen in 1981 on the 9th of June 20 to 21st.
I did research on the thieves. They were never found. So a copy of the crown was made by Montreal goldsmith Gilles Beaugrand.
The crown was made of brass and has 40 cabochons, 8 white lilies, as well as the Maria monogram. But the crown and heart are the attributes that help us to identify the statue.
In terms of the history of sculpture in Quebec, this statue of Our Lady of the Cape is among the first plaster statues ever to be installed in a church.
Their arrival in Quebec, beginning in 1850, heralded the decline of wood carving.
It's also worth noting that plaster statues were 1/3 the price of wooden statues because a mold was needed and because they were mass-produced.
Sculpture historians are just beginning to take an interest in them because plaster statues were considered to be second-rate art.
And yet, to make plaster statues, you must first create a clay model and then a mold. You have to touch up the plaster and then paint the statue.
And now we'll head to the Rosary Bridge.
And we'll give you a little reminder because we talk about it on the Miracles cassette.